Legends Luke Skywalker, the most powerful Jedi ever, who was able to accomplish feats with the Force other Jedis could only dream of, versus two goofy guys in their 20s who work in a park. Would Mordecai and Rigby be able to defeat Luke Skywalker? Let's get to it. First, let's look at Legends Luke Skywalker. He is the most powerful Jedi in Star Wars and the son of Anakin, who had the highest potential out of any Jedi. Luke is shown to be empathetic and kind, and was willing to forgive Darth Vader, who had committed atrocities such as killing younglings, who are Jedis typically between the age of 4 to 8 years old.
Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we going to do?
Luke has many abilities like telekinesis, telepathy, force heal, and enhanced senses, but to get a clearer view at how he scales, I will break down some of his feats.
Oh, let me break it down for you, Mordecai.
Quick disclaimer, I am not a power scaler, so don't take this video too seriously. Also, I'm not going to include Luke's feats whilst he's mind walking, because from what I can understand, he shouldn't be able to interact with Mordecai and Rigby in that form, as they are in the physical world and he isn't when he uses that ability. Now that that's out of the way, here is my scaling for Luke. His speed is impressive, as he was able to dodge attacks from Abeloth, who views nanoseconds as slow, putting him somewhere in the faster than light plus category. For more context, Abeloth is the personification of the Force's chaos, and she's capable of bending and tearing the fabric of the universe and warping/reshaping the galaxy in any way she sees fit. Luke's attack potency stat also comes from his battle with Abeloth, as he was able to damage her, putting his attack potency somewhere around complex multiversal level. His base durability is street level. However, with the use of Force amplification, he can vastly increase this to solar system level, as he was able to withstand Darth Sidious's Force lightning. Yet again, we can get him even higher due to his fight with Abeloth, where he was able to shrug off her Force lightning, making him multiversal. Again, for stamina, Luke can boost himself with the Force, allowing him to increase his stamina so he can fight for days on end without nourishment or rest. His range is insane, as he is able to use illusions, which allows him to have planetary range, although he can't interact with anything. However, his telekinetic range is up to several thousand kilometers, or however far he can sense and perceive through the Force. Generally, Luke's intelligence is very good, and he is depicted as a skilled technician and engineer, as he was able to custom build the Jade Saber by modifying the shuttle. His battle IQ is even better, as he is able to learn and master multiple lightsaber styles without any formal teaching, and he was a very talented starfighter pilot, and he is also depicted as learning new techniques of powers in a short amount of time, which is seen when Jason Solo learned to teleport objects in 3 days, and Luke managed to learn it with the same teacher in 2 days. Now that we've briefly gone over Luke, let's look at Mordecai and Rigby. Mordecai and Rigby are depicted as laid back and lazy, only fighting the supernatural if they are in immediate danger or if they have been threatened by Benson.
Do it or you're fired!
They are in their 20s and are employed at a park to be groundskeepers. They are just regular dudes but end up in earth-ending situations every episode. I don't think they would actually fight Luke. They would probably become friends of him, but for the sake of the video, we're going to disregard their personality slightly. Mordecai and Rigby have access to many powerful abilities, such as Def Quando, the Power, the Book of Park Records, and Double Glazed Donuts. Like Luke, I'm also going to break down their stats to see if they could match Luke. Mordecai and Rigby are basically relatives. I'm going to go through them as one to save me repeating myself. Full speed, Mordecai and Rigby have access to crazy items. When they ate Double Glazed Donuts, they became so fast that everything around them moved in slow motion, putting them at massively hypersonic plus. And to back this up, with Def Quando, they were able to def jump out of a crater thousands of feet deep in seconds. However, they were able to go even faster when they got access to the god of basketball's powers, as they were able to launch to the Earth's atmosphere in seconds, putting them at roughly massively faster than light, which actually makes them slightly faster than Luke. They fall short in the attack potency category, as they can only get up to town level with the use of Def Quando, and they can get slightly higher with the Fists of Justice, which they use to defeat Clorgbane, who is one of the most powerful characters in the show.
Clorgbane, huh? More like Clorg lame. Whoa!
Unfortunately, Mordecai and Rigby fall short again in durability, but their durability is still insane. With the Death Block, Mordecai was able to block multiple Death Punch of Deaths and was unscathed, which, as I established earlier, was a town level attack, so their durability should be around this level with that technique. We can get them up to Multiversal Plus with the use of the Power. The Power is a reality warping piano, which they use to block an attack from Anti-Pops, who is the strongest character in the verse alongside Pops. When Pops and Anti-Pops fought, it was said to be the ultimate fate of all creation, and is responsible responsible for the birth and construction of the space-time continuum, which comfortably puts them at multiversal plus, and as Mordecai and Rigby manage to survive an attack from anti-pops, we can highball them here as well. For stamina, Mordecai was able to stay awake for an entire day without blinking when he had a staring contest with Peeps, but their most impressive feat is probably that they stayed alive after being frozen for 2 millennia. Their range is also very impressive, with the Book of Park Records, which is a reality warping device with plot manipulation, as they can write whatever they want into the book and it will happen. With this book, they were able to affect an entire city with a snowstorm, so it affected several kilometers. The use of the Fist of Justice will get them into interplanetary, as they send Cloakplane through interplanetary distances with them, and once again, the power is their most overpowered piece of equipment, allowing them to extend their range to multiversal plus, as they were able to time travel with it to help Pops with his fight against anti-Pops. Mordecai and Rigby's intelligence comes into question, as they are depicted as moronic, lazy, and ignorant.
I can't get up now. I'm gonna lose this sweet butt cheek groove I've been working into this couch. It looks just like me.
However, if we allow them to use everything they have available, they can use Brain Max, which is a drink that drastically increases their intelligence to the point that they started seeing the people around them as cavemen and had become so smart they transcended the English language. Their base battle intelligence is actually quite good, which can be seen when they learned how to use the Fist of Justice on the spot and defeat Cloakplane, who had many years of fighting experience and was a match for Skips, who had likely been using the Fist of Justice for decades. However, they are still quite moronic and lazy, which I will take into consideration. For the overall comparison, Mordecai and Rigby take speed and range, whereas Luke takes attack potency and durability. Stamina is very hard to place because I don't have figures for either side, so I will just make them relative. Luke takes IQ normally, but if Mordecai and Rigby use Brain Max, they will take it, so it will depend on the scenario. I would say that Luke's battle IQ is higher than Mordecai and Rigby's, but I wouldn't say that it's by a significant amount. For the fight, I have come up with a few scenarios with what I think could happen. For the first scenario, I am giving Mordecai and Rigby all of their abilities, and I am assuming that they can stack, and Luke will have access to all of his abilities as well. In this first scenario, I think Mordecai and Rigby being faster will allow them to avoid Luke's superior attack potency and use the power, or the Book of Park Records, to reality warp, allowing them to defeat Luke by teleporting him into the middle of a black hole or something of that nature. I could also see this scenario playing out differently. Even though Luke is slower than Mordecai and Rigby, he can force pull Mordecai and Rigby or immobilize them with the Force and then cut them down in one strike, which he should have no problem doing with his superior attack potency. For the second scenario, I have thought of something that I think will be more realistic to how the fight would actually go. For the second scenario, I am not giving Mordecai and Rigby immediate access to all of their items and abilities, as this isn't realistic. I don't think either party are likely to go all out immediately, and therefore I think with Luke's superior battle IQ and the fact that he can use all of his abilities without borrowed items or powers, he would be at an advantage. Mordecai and Rigby have never been seen to have access to all of their items all at once, or stack abilities, and their most powerful item, the power, is rarely seen on screen, and they don't carry it around with them. And another issue is that we don't know that Mordecai and Rigby can stack their power-ups, and for some of them like Def Kwon Do, they have to wear certain clothes and get bullets, which will not be possible if they are in the middle of a fight. So therefore, I think Luke will win majority of the time, as I don't see any way for them to even compete unless they have the power on them and they use it immediately, or they have prep time to gather all of their items and power-ups. There is one last scenario that could happen. Benson gets pissed at Mordecai and Rigby and tells them that they will be fired unless they defeat Legends Luke Skywalker, and then they will conjure up some bullshit and win. Scenario 2 is the most realistic scenario, and due to the fact Mordecai and Rigby require borrowed items and powers, which we don't know that can stack, and we have also never seen them with all of their abilities at once, leaves me to believe Luke wins. Luke doesn't need to rely on external items or abilities, and therefore, if it was an average low prep fight, he would win almost every single time.